From the sun-drenched pools of his youth, Ted Williams seemed born of the water. He didn't just swim, he flew. High school meets became his personal showcase, a blur of churning water, shattered records, and the glint of gold medals hung around his neck. The crowds roared, the stopwatches confirmed it. He was a prodigy, a phenom destined for greatness. His talent was a raw, undeniable force, a promise of a future draped in Olympic glory. For young Ted, the path seemed clear, paved with victories and leading straight to the world's biggest stage. He was the golden boy of American swimming, and everyone knew his name. The chlorine-scented air of the local pool was replaced by the rarefied atmosphere of the National Training Center. This was the crucible where dreams were forged. Young adult Ted's life contracted into a singular, relentless pursuit. His world was the 4 a.m. alarm, the endless laps that blurred into a meditative rhythm, the burning in his muscles and the coach's voice echoing in the vast, empty natatorium. He pushed his body past its limits, sacrificing friendships, holidays, and the simple joys of a life unburdened by a singular, all-consuming ambition. Every stroke, every breath, every calorie was a calculated investment in a single moment: the Olympic trials. The pressure was immense, a constant companion as he chased the black line at the bottom of the pool, his reflection the only witness to his silent struggle. The moment arrived. The air in the arena was electric, thick with tension and the smell of chlorinated water. Under the glare of the stadium lights, 8 swimmers launched themselves from the blocks, a violent explosion of muscle and will. The race was a frantic, desperate sprint. For Ted, the world narrowed to the lane in front of him, the roar of the crowd fading into a dull hum. In slow motion, his hand reached for the wall, stretching, straining for that final touch. The scoreboard flashed. A photo finish. A collective gasp, then a roar for the victors. Ted looked up, his chest heaving, and saw the numbers. He had missed qualifying by 0.03 of a second. The dream, the one he had dedicated his entire life to, evaporated in an instant. The crushing weight of that fraction of a second settled upon him, a silence more deafening than any cheer. The years that followed were a quiet drift. From age 22 to 26, Ted existed in a colorless world far from the water. He stacked shelves in a grocery store, delivered packages, and bartended at a local dive. His powerful swimmer's physique seemed out of place in these mundane settings, a relic of a forgotten life. He was a ghost haunting the edges of his own story, his identity washed away in that one failed race. The water that had once been his sanctuary was now a source of pain, a reminder of who he was supposed to be. He was adrift, lost in an ocean of anonymity. The roaring applause of the past now just a faint mocking echo in his mind. Then, one quiet evening in his small apartment, something shifted. At 26, Ted found himself staring at a large world map tacked to his wall. The vast blue expanses of the oceans, once just geography, now looked like a challenge, a calling. His gaze traced the coastlines, connecting continents, and a new, audacious idea began to form. It was a thought so wild, so impossible, it made his heart race in a way it hadn't since the starting block. He wouldn't just swim a race, he would swim the world. It was a desperate, magnificent folly, a way to reclaim the water not as an adversary, but as his destiny. The announcement sent shockwaves through the media. At a hastily assembled press conference, a stoic Ted Williams unveiled his plan to circumnavigate the globe by swimming. The idea was met with a mixture of disbelief, ridicule, and awe. Newspaper headlines screamed, "From Olympic hopeful to madman of the sea." News reports debated the feasibility, the sanity of his quest. Yet, amidst the skepticism, a narrative began to grow. Ted became a folk hero, a symbol of defiance against failure. He was the man who, having lost everything, was willing to risk it all for one last, impossible dream. He was no longer just a failed athlete. He was a national spectacle, a man attempting to conquer the very element that had broken him. On a gray, windswept morning, Ted stood at the edge of the continent, the vast, unforgiving ocean stretching out before him. He took a breath, the salty air filling his lungs. There was no starting pistol, no cheering crowd, only the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. He walked into the cold embrace of the water, the element that had defined and defeated him. With a powerful, familiar stroke, he began to swim, a lone figure moving steadily toward the horizon. He swam for days, then weeks, a solitary battle against currents, exhaustion, and the immense loneliness of the sea. He never reached the other side. His body was never found. But in that final, tragic act, disappearing into the endless blue, Ted Williams wasn't drowning. He was finally going home, reclaiming his purpose in the heart of the ocean itself.